Alright, this costume might not be as fun as my Amish costume, but once I give you a quote and let you know that the main character's name is the title of the movie, I think my orange and white striped shirt with my green hoodie will help give it away. And I'm not wearing the belly because I can't find my beach ball that I used for my costume. But let me give you this quote, and then at the end of the video, I will tell you who I am dressed as. Third test today, Mama Bear. Your ego is prego, no doubt about it. Now, if you don't know what that movie is by now, I'll let you know at the end of the video, and then you can rent it and watch it and be inspired. And just know that my husband dressed as the main character's boyfriend for Halloween for this. So he had on his maroon shirt with the Gryffindors, is that what they were? With the yellow, so the cross-country shirt, but he wouldn't wear the little yellow running shorts. I found a pair. So he got the long basketball shorts that were yellow. What a party pooper. Oh, and then I got him a sweatband and the sweat wristbands as well. So funny. And he wore the tall socks and running shoes. Yeah, that was great. But let's cover chapter 9, which begins on page 236 in your book, Delivering Your Speech. All right. The first question: what delivery type provides very little preparation time? A, memorize, B, manuscript, C, extemporaneous, or D, impromptu? It's impromptu. We're going to go over each type of these speeches in our video today. I was going to say in class today, but we're not in class anymore. You guys are probably done with classes by now, and now it's 2:30 and I'm making videos because I had to make a run to Falpage, take my sister to the store. So, what are the elements of vocal delivery? First, we have pitch. This is high-low, or high-low. This is how low your voice is in frequency and is determined by how fast or slow your vocal cords vibrate. So monotone, this is a very distracting and boring pitch. It's where you talk like this and the inflection in your voice does not change at all. I'm really bad at monotone, but that's just because I'm freaking excited all the time. And then there's inflection, which is enthusiastic, dedicated, and excited. I'm so excited all the time. I was going to change spots, but, see, the camera's a little heavier in the back, and the little tripod that came with it is obviously really flimsy because I just on the table and it went, ah! So it looked like a little T-Rex. That happened, by the way. Anyway, moving on. Volume. Oh yeah, so I was going to sit on the couch, but it just wasn't working out. But I think my next video might be out in the bar. It's better lighting. It's more natural lighting and not this overhead chandelier we have. It makes us look like old folks, but whatevs. Volume is how loud or soft that you speak. Things to consider when deciding how loud you need to be talking is how big the room is and the type of environment that you're in. Are you inside where you're in a classroom like our normal everyday setting where I can just talk to everybody at once? Is everybody talking over you in Snapchatting, so you're trying to get their attention, so you're going to talk louder? Or maybe you're finishing up and your volume's getting a little lower. And then everybody looks up and they're like, this is important. Because I just did that in class today. Also, vary the volume of your voice during your presentation. if you're speaking loud for a majority of your presentation and then you get really quiet like I did, kind of like I was just talking about, it makes a huge difference, and it forces your audience to focus in on you again and listen again when you go from a high volume down to a low volume. Also, make sure you're heard by everybody in the room. You don't want to be screaming at the people in the front of the room, but you want to make sure the people in the back of the room can hear you as well. Rate, this is how fast you speak. How many words per minute are coming out of your face hole. So, I have a tendency to speak really fast, and it's something that I'm still working on because I know that I get speaking so fast that not everybody can understand me. So pay attention to your audience and what they need to stay interested and involved. Pauses. These can be used for more than just slowing down your speaking rate. Use them for dramatic effect. Perhaps when you're giving a quote and you want to emphasize the importance of that quote and what it means to you in your presentation. Also, be sure to remove vocal fillers. Speakers tend to use fillers when struggling for their next word or sentence. Use pauses instead. These are going to be more effective, and they allow the audience to consider what you just said as well. I had a student last semester on her first speech, I think it was a podium exercise even. Instead of using fillers, she actually thought about it and used pauses. It was fantastic. And she did great the rest of the semester. She just caught on to it really quick. So cool. Variety. Do things like fluctuation, changes and adjustments to volume, pitch, rate, and your pauses to help keep your audience's attention. If you're speaking a million miles a minute the entire time, you're going to lose your audience. But if you take the time to slow down, lower your volume, and use pauses, your audience's ears perk up, and they're like, whoa, 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 something has changed. Your brain starts to register, and they start to pay attention again. Kind of cool. Also, pronunciation. This is standard or commonly accepted ways to make a word sound. Ask someone you know to assess your pronunciation skills before presenting in front of a class to make sure that you're pronouncing things correctly. There's a chart on page 242 of commonly mispronounced words. One of my favorite is affidavit. A lot of people say affidavit, but the last letter of that word is a T. And I like affidavit because it's a legal thing. Maybe I'll be a lawyer, guys. Also, asked. A lot of people have the tendency to say axe, like chop my wood with an axe. When it's ask, or asked, with A-S-K-T, asked. One more example would be library. It's L-I-B-R-A-R-Y, not library, like lying berries. My berries lie to me. I kind of want some strawberries now. Oh my gosh. Distractions. But like I said, that list on page 242 is a good example of words that are commonly mispronounced. And then I like that they say, hey, why don't you have somebody listen to you before you make your presentation and make sure you're pronouncing those words correctly. Especially as we get into our informative and persuasive speeches, you want to make sure that you're able to pronounce words technically correctly that are more technical that we don't come across every day. Like maybe I should have done that with like the tropes and the repetition stuff. Articulation. This is how completely and clearly you say each word. As with pronunciation, good articulation can also boost your ethos as a speaker. If you take the time to make sure that you are pronouncing words correctly as well as clearly saying each word for your audience to understand, you're going to build credibility with your audience because they know that you've taken the time to rehearse your presentation and you're not just trying to spit it all out at once and be done with it. You're actually trying to convey a message that you've rehearsed and you care about and took the time to practice. Before entering your speech location, open your mouth wide several times. This stretches your jaw muscles. And then hum as you rapidly vibrate your lips together. Is that what they mean? Maybe, I don't know. This helps loosen the muscles you'll be using during your speech. Maybe I should try doing that. Maybe we can all do it together in class for like 2 minutes before everybody starts presenting. But for me, like opening my jaw really wide, I get I don't know what to say, it clicks, but I can feel it feels like it's like dislocating. Dialect. All cultures and subcultures around the world have a unique way of talking. When you think of an Australian, you think, "Hey, mate!" And you also think of Scottish and Irish having different accents as well as the German. So these are different dialects. Strive to use correct vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Dialects can be regional or ethnic, and if your dialect is significantly different than the group you are presenting to, it can be distracting. So use the more standard or widely understood vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation to achieve the understanding that you're trying to get across to that audience. So what are the elements of physical delivery? This is on page 244. First is your appearance. This includes your dress and your grooming choices. Make sure your appearance helps and does not hurt your speech. And things that you might want to avoid wearing on your presentation day would be hats, really flashy colors. Maybe your shirt is like uber vibrant. Also, excessive amounts of jewelry can be really distracting as well, or maybe like your new chunky necklace that you love and you don't think is going to be distracting, but because it's new and it's laying weird, you're constantly fidgeting with it. Think about those things as you plan out your outfit for your ceremonial speech and the rest of your speeches this semester as well. Eye contact. While cultural norms differ, the United States really values eye contact. So show the audience that you're interested in them by making eye contact with your audience and not looking off to the walls or up above their heads at the ceiling, or even not looking at least at their forehead level and looking like above everybody's heads, because they can tell. I got really dramatic about that one. Eye contact is imperative, and it's one of the 6 main things that I'm going to grade on for your presentations. So, which of the following is not one of the universal facial expressions? The answer to this you will find on page 246, but I'll go through it right now, and as well as the examples of universal expressions. But A, anger, B, sadness, C, jealousy, D, surprise. So here's my angry face. Is that a good angry face? Anyway, sadness. Surprise. Were those good? But how do I show jealousy? So, jealousy is not a universal facial expression. How do I show that I'm jealous? Ugh. When I think of jealousy, my mind instantly goes to 2 girls looking at the same guy, and one of the girls saying, "I already have his number." Ugh. And that's the noise I would make if I was jealous. Ugh. Moving on. Facial expression is the use of facial features and muscles to convey your internal thoughts or feelings. Make sure that your facial expressions are matching the tone of your speech. So for those of you, my best example I can give right now is for those of you who are presenting a eulogy. I don't think that having a smile plastered across your face because you're super nervous is the best way to convey your tone. I'm here today to pay my respects to my late great uncle David. For a eulogy, I think we should have a more somber tone. Yes, we want to memorialize this person's life, but at the same time, we don't want to seem like we're really excited that they're dead. But maybe you got their life insurance policy. Like, if I die, my husband has more on me for accidental than natural causes of death. So now I'm kind of afraid that he's just going to off me. Kidding, he wouldn't do that. I'm worth more dead than alive. Alive than dead. But if I die, my student loans die with me. So that's like one less bill around the house. And then he can get rid of, then he doesn't have to pay for my health insurance anymore, or my cell phone. He can sell my Jeep, so that payment's gone. And then we won't have to pay the insurance on my Jeep. And he still gets money from insurance, whether it's natural or accidental. I'm a goner. Also, be natural with your facial gestures. I understand that I want you to work on these, just like I want you to work on your hand gestures, but I don't want you to make them forced either. Having just a relaxed facial expression, a natural face, versus forcing one of the universals is going to be more effective than forcing a facial expression like, today we are here to celebrate the life, or remember the life of Abraham Lincoln. Be natural about it. Oh, and in case you're wondering, in case you don't have your book or didn't open it, the 6 universal facial expressions are happiness, fear, surprise. I think my surprise and my fear are almost the same thing. Disgust, ugh. Anger, sadness. Alright. Gestures, like hand gestures, body gestures. This is when you use your body or parts of it to convey a message or feeling during your speech. Emblems are speech-independent gestures that are culturally learned. An example of this would be waving. Hey! Or hi! 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 Ah! Also, there are illustrators, which are closely linked to verbal content and are speech dependent. So I would say my dog can jump this high, which is true, by the way. He has a really great vertical, and I tried to get a video of him doing it, but as soon as I turned the camera off, he finally did it. Like, really, dude? Yeah. I love you, Duber. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. My dog is spoiled. Movement. This is a use of motion and space during your presentation. It's dependent on your topic, your audience, and the occasion. Walking around and being really excited during a eulogy probably isn't best, but if you're on stage trying to sell a product, maybe you're Ron Popeil trying to sell your spray hair, or maybe your rotisserie thing, and you'll set it and forget it. You move around for that. Posture is also really important too. The position of your, posture defined is the position of your body, and in this situation, during the speech. Good posture shows that you are interested in and excited about your topic. Good posture is also going to display confidence to your audience and that you're not scared to be up in front of them. So shoulders back, chest out, eye contact, head up, not looking down. Bad posture indicates boredom or fear. So even if you are scared, fake it to make it. Pretend to be confident and just start with good posture. That's going to make a huge difference. And it's going to change the way you feel about yourself too. Another question. All of the following are elements of physical delivery except A, posture, B, facial expression, C, eye contact, D, pauses. The answer is D, pauses, because that's part of the oral delivery and not physical delivery. Remember that? Cool. What are the methods of delivery? First, you want to choose a delivery method, but each method has its pros and cons, but you should always follow these 3 guidelines regardless of the method you choose. So the first one is to be as natural as possible, connect with your audience, and be enthusiastic and confident. Moving on. What is the most ideal delivery style for giving speeches? Let's put this back here. There we go. A, extemporaneous. B, memorized. C, manuscript. D, impromptu. The answer is A, extemporaneous. Extemporaneous speaking is considered the most acceptable contemporary method of delivery, where you plan out, rehearse, and deliver the speech from a key word or phrase outline. When should you use it? It is more audience-centered than others because it's speaking with your audience and not to them. And that helps you to make your language and the words that you use more relatable to your audience. Manuscript speaking, this occurs when you read directly from a word-for-word copy of the speech. When should you use it? Be careful for using this. Why? Because it gets really boring because you tend to not make any eye contact with your audience because you're so busy reading what you've prepared. So rehearse with the manuscript many times to be comfortable with the delivery method of the text, but it does distance you from the audience because your eye contact's going to be way down. Because you're just going to be down here looking like this. Memorized speaking means that you rehearse the speech so much that you commit the entire thing to memory. You have the entire thing memorized and you don't need any outlines, notes, note cards, nothing. Awesome. When should you use it? During storytelling, or maybe if you're a religious leader. And some speakers giving special occasion speeches may use this as well. Impromptu speaking. This is when you have very little, if any, preparation or rehearsal. When should you use it? During a Q&A session. When you need information or dispute an issue during a meeting, or when you are asked to address an audience's concern at a moment's notice. You guys won't really have any Q&A except for maybe during the persuasive, but that's just kind of like if you didn't argue enough for your side, it seemed too much like, say you're arguing the con side of an issue and yours seemed too much like the pro side, we're going to ask you a few questions to help you distinguish yours from the pro side. So how do you rehearse an extemporaneous speech? Because basically this is what you guys are doing all semester. For the first 2 speeches, I allow you to use your outlines, but for the last 2 speeches, mainly because people were just reading from their outlines, I require you to use note cards, and by then you should be more comfortable between the podium exercises, getting to know your classmates, and the 2 other graded speeches that I think you can wean yourself off of the outlines. To use the extemporaneous method, read your outline out loud. Don't just read it in your head to yourself. Read it out loud and start filling in how you're going to present that outline during your presentation. Remember that writing for reading and speaking are very different, as we discussed earlier. Your writing style is going to be more formal, your speaking style is going to be more casual and more directed to your audience. This way you're more relatable. How was that? Was that an awesome ride? Joey's not happy with me. I get really excited, I guess. I need a different steam now, I know that. At least it's durable, right? So, make sure that what you've written sounds not just good to the ear, sounds good to the ear and not just looks good for writing purposes. You also want to prepare your delivery outline, so reduce your preparation outline down to just those hints that will remind you of what you wanted to say. And if you include too much detail, you will likely be prone to just reading your outline and thus avoiding eye contact with your audience. Visual aids should be practiced beforehand as well as prepared to make sure that they work and are timed correctly with your speech. If any of you are deciding to use a PowerPoint for this presentation, visual aids are not required, but you can use them if you want. If you do use a PowerPoint because we don't have a clicker, you can have a friend up there while you present who, if you kind of just signal like, hey, like slide change. But don't be a jerk about it and be like, slide change. No, you're presenting. This is for a grade. Or you can do it yourself, your choice. The goal is for the visual aids to seem like a natural and helpful part of your presentation. We do have a chapter about this later on. That's why it's not required now. And I'm going to show you a really bad example of a PowerPoint that my husband made. It is horrible. Like animations all over the place, frickin' frackin' noises, and the worst color scheme ever. Oh, and full of text. Full of it. Holy freaking moly. Horrible. Also, practice, practice, practice. This is the biggest tip I can give you for this class, is to practice your speeches. Don't just practice them in your head from your outline. Actually read them out loud. That's going to be the best way to prepare for any of your presentations in this class. Also, do a final dress rehearsal and simulate everything as closely as possible to how you'll be presenting in class. Like maybe my biggest thing would be practicing I know you don't have access to the room, but practicing with your visual aid, changing the slides, and in the outfit that you're going to wear for presentation day, especially if you're going for the business formal, because say you're wearing a button down and maybe it's shrunk in the dryer and you're wearing it and you're noticing like the buttons are gaping really big and you don't want everybody to see your undershirt, so, or like your chest. So that would be my biggest tip. Also prepare for questions. Again, you're not going to have this issue until the persuasive speeches. So be prepared for questions that might come up and prepare for how you could potentially answer them. Finally, how should you prepare for the day of the speech? The day before the speech, be sure to be well rehearsed. Be kind to your body and your voice. Don't pull an all-nighter. Also, on the same note, don't go to a hockey game, a Notre Dame hockey game right now, and scream all night and then expect your voice to be in proper working condition for the next day. Also, make sure you select what you're going to wear. Try to do a dress rehearsal in it. Don't procrastinate. And consider what issues might arise, whether it's with your PowerPoint, with your notes. Think about them. Stuff happens. Life happens. And remind yourself that you are ready. There's nothing worse than going into a presentation or even an exam being like, I'm not ready. I'm screwed. No, be confident about it. Be like, okay, I've rehearsed. I've done everything I can to get ready. We're going to do this. So it doesn't even have to be like, woohoo, I'm going to ace it. Just to have confidence in yourself. And finally, on the day of the speech, be sure to eat breakfast beforehand. A big issue is people not eating breakfast beforehand, and then you get up there, you're already tense and nervous anyway, especially if you're not comfortable in a room full of people, and then you lock your knees and all this like starts affecting your blood sugar, and then everything starts graying out, and next thing you know, you're on the floor passed out. Also avoid throat irritating foods like milk and chocolate that tend to kind of coat your throat and not let things vibrate properly. Arrive early, check your equipment if possible. Have water ready. Have a little water bottle with you to help clear your throat in case you get up there and then you're like sand because you're so nervous. Be sure to review your notes, all right, and walk with confidence because you're ready. And that's all I have to say about Chapter 9. Hope that was exciting. And next costume change for Chapter 10. Oh! Juno. 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 I'm Juno.